Okay, so with exams just around the corner, that pressure is really starting to build, right? But what if I told you the secret to better grades isn't about studying harder, but about studying smarter? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down the exact strategies that separate the really effective students from, well, everyone else. Does this feel a little too familiar? You're putting in those endless hours, you're totally exhausted, but your grades just don't seem to reflect any of that effort. It's probably one of the most frustrating feelings for any student, and it points to a huge mistake. You're likely working hard for sure, but maybe not so smart. And this leads us to what's called the study trap. It's this mistaken belief that just throwing more hours at the problem will automatically equal better results. As we're about to see, that assumption isn't just wrong, it can actually be pretty harmful to your success. The psychology behind this is actually fascinating. We set these massive, often totally unrealistic daily targets for ourselves. And when we, of course, fall short, our brain kind of logs it as a failure, which just ramps up the stress. So this approach doesn't just fail to guarantee results, it's pretty much a one-way ticket to burnout. So this brings us to a really fundamental choice that every single student has to face. Look, it's not about avoiding hard work. It's about making that work actually count. So what does the smart path really look like compared to the hard one? And this breaks it down perfectly. On one side, you've got studying hard, just cramming for endless hours, juggling a mountain of textbooks, and basically just hoping something sticks. But on the other side, you have studying smart, a strategic plan, a few really high-quality materials, and super specific targeted goals. It's really the difference between using brute force and using precision. And yeah, the conclusion is pretty clear. When you put these two strategies head-to-head, the smart approach is just way more effective, time and time again. And why is that? Well, because it's a huge shift in focus, from the sheer quantity of time you're putting in to the quality and the impact of every single minute you invest. But, and this is a big but, here's the crucial first step. There is no one-size-fits-all solution here. Before you can build a smart strategy, you have to be really honest with yourself. It's called self-realization. It means you have to ask, where am I really with this syllabus? What are my absolute weakest areas? This honest inventory is the foundation for everything that comes next. Okay, so once you know your starting point, it's time to get equipped. Let's open up the Smart Study Toolkit and take a look at the core strategies you can literally start using today. Now, the cornerstone of this whole Smart Study Toolkit is something called the SMART approach. This isn't just a clever name, it's a really powerful framework for setting goals that actually get you somewhere. It turns those vague ambitions into a solid plan of action. Let's break this down, okay? Your goal has to be specific. Not just study chemistry, but master the 3 types of chemical bonds. It has to be measurable. How will you know you've mastered it? Maybe by getting a 90% on a practice test. Achievable. Is this actually realistic in the time you have? Reputable. This one's key. It means using high-quality, reliable study materials, not some sketchy online summaries. Your strategy is only as good as your sources. And finally, time-bound. Give yourself a clear deadline, like, I'm going to master this by Friday. So beyond setting goals, these smart habits are everything. Don't try to read everything under the sun. Pick a few specific, excellent resources. Take great notes on the most important points so you can review them fast without having to crack open the textbook every single time. And here it is, the absolute non-negotiable. You must test yourself. Seriously, it's the only way to know if you truly get the material and can recall it when the pressure is on. All right, so you can have the best strategy in the world, but if your mind and body aren't on board, it's just not going to work. This next part is all about fueling the engine, your brain. Think of your focus like this. It's a mix of a few things, right? You need high motivation to even get started. You need to manage that pressure so it doesn't crush you, and you need the physical energy to actually keep going. If you neglect any one of these, you could sabotage your entire effort. So, how do you do it? Well, keep your motivation high by constantly reminding yourself why you're doing this. Eat light meals that give you energy without making you want to take a nap. And this is so important. Stop beating yourself up over those daily targets. Instead, acknowledge and actually celebrate the small bits of progress you make every single day. That little bit of positive reinforcement is key. And here we go. This is maybe the most critical piece of mindset advice I can give you. Never, ever, ever compare your progress to someone else's. Your journey is your own. Comparison just creates fear and anxiety, and it robs you of the confidence you absolutely need to succeed. Just focus on your own plan. All right, we've covered the what and the why. So now, let's put it all together into a personal battle plan that you can actually start using. It really just boils down to a simple 3-step process. First, that honest self-realization. Figure out exactly where you stand. Second, build a realistic timetable that actually fits your life, not some imaginary perfect student's life. And third, commit to it. Trust your smart strategy and just stick with it. Ultimately, this is the core shift in thinking. It's about moving from feeling completely overwhelmed by a mountain of stuff to learn to becoming like an archer with a really clear target. You're no longer just studying. You are training with purpose, with strategy, and with precision. Every single thing you do has a reason. So I'll leave you with this one question to act on. Forget about that mountain of work for just a second. What is the single smartest step you can take today to start making this shift? That's all for this explainer.